Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got a serious question for all of you today. And before anybody jumps into the comments saying this is clickbait or rage bait, it's not. I'm genuinely asking because if the answer ends up being yes, it's actually bad for everyone covering the WNBA right now. It's bad for the league, bad for the Fever, and honestly, bad for channels like this that have spent the last 2 years talking about Caitlin Clark and the explosion around women's basketball. But after everything we've watched recently, I think it's fair to ask, has the Caitlin Clark effect already started slowing down? And listen, I know how insane that sounds because we're talking about the biggest star women's basketball has seen in decades. We're talking about someone who completely changed the visibility of the WNBA overnight. Caitlin Clark didn't just bring attention, she brought obsession. Every game felt like an event. Ticket prices exploded, ratings exploded, jerseys sold out. Road arenas had to move games into NBA buildings just to fit the crowds. That kind of momentum, it doesn't happen by accident. But what I said last season still applies now. The Caitlin Clark phenomenon was always built around a very specific version of Caitlin Clark. People fell in love with the deep threes, the swagger, the transition pull-ups, the nonstop aggression, the emotion, the freedom in her game. Fans wanted to watch a superstar who played fearless basketball. And now, I think some fans are starting to feel like they're not getting that version anymore. Now, let me be clear before people twist this. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark suddenly became a bad player. She's entering her 3rd season. Talent isn't the issue. The concern is whether the excitement around her is starting to cool down because of how she's being used and how the overall product feels compared to what people originally signed up for. Because when you watch the Indiana Fever at times, especially under Stephanie White's system, it almost feels like Caitlin Clark is being asked to blend in instead of take over. And that's the opposite of what made her special in the first place. Fans didn't travel across the country and spend thousands of dollars to watch Caitlin Clark stand in the corner while the offense runs through somebody else. They didn't tune in to watch her become an off-ball guard for stretches while Kelsey Mitchell dribbles the air out of the basketball. That's not the Caitlin Clark people became emotionally invested in. And here's the thing that worries me the most. You can actually start seeing signs of pullback now. Last year, if somebody claimed interest was dropping, you couldn't really prove it because the numbers were still gigantic. Even if ratings dipped slightly, games were still doing massive viewership compared to normal WNBA standards. People would just point to 1.8 million viewers and say, see, everything's fine. But now, it feels different. The preseason game in Iowa didn't hit the way many people expected. Ticket conversations feel different. There are reports of season ticket packages still being available for Fever games when previously they disappeared almost instantly. Fans seem more cautious now. Instead of blindly buying in, they're waiting to see what version of this team they're getting. And honestly, I understand why. People are asking themselves, am I paying premium prices just to maybe watch Caitlin Clark take 10 shots and spend half the game off the ball? Because if that's the experience, some casual fans are going to move on. That's just reality. The Caitlin Clark effect was built on energy and spectacle. It was built on people feeling like they were witnessing something revolutionary. But if she starts feeling like just another player in the system, then some of that magic disappears. And again, I know this conversation makes people uncomfortable because Caitlin Clark is still enormously popular. She's still the face of the league, but popularity can plateau. We've seen it happen with musicians, athletes, celebrities, everybody. It honestly reminds me of This Is Spinal Tap. At first, everything is huge, packed venues, nonstop hype, massive momentum. Then little cracks start showing. Crowds get slightly smaller, excitement cools off. Suddenly, the machine doesn't feel unstoppable anymore. I'm not saying that's definitely happening here. I'm asking if we're starting to see the early signs of it. Because this season feels massive to me. It feels like a crossroads moment for the WNBA and for Caitlin Clark specifically. If fans get the aggressive, electric, superstar version of Caitlin Clark again, I think the momentum explodes all over again. But if this turns into a season where she's constantly deferring, constantly fitting into systems that limit what made her special, then I honestly think some casual fans are going to check out. And whether people want to admit it or not, a huge percentage of the current WNBA audience came for Caitlin Clark specifically, not just for the league itself. So now, the pressure's on. Not just on Caitlin Clark, but on Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever, Kelsey Mitchell, and the entire organization to make sure the product people fell in love with is still there. Because if it's not, this really could become a make-or-breaks year.
The Caitlin Clark phenomenon was so strong that even in an exhibition game against Nigeria, they had been selling out the arena, or that the arena should have been packed. This is an ominous sign. I told you guys earlier about how they were struggling in comparison to last year and the year before to sell season tickets. I think the Indiana Fever and the WNBA have diminished the star power of Caitlin Clark. You've probably seen the NBC commercials promoting their coverage of the WNBA, and they featured and centered around Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and Paige Beckers. No Caitlin Clark. The reason for the season can't get promoted by NBC. Caitlin Clark is the business. You're undermining the business by destroying Caitlin Clark's star power and trying to build around. We got a whole team and everybody's a part of this. It's not the way men operate. It's not the way the NBA has operated. When they discover a star, a Magic Johnson, a Larry Bird, an Isaiah Thomas, a Michael Jordan, an Allen Iverson, LeBron James, they lean into that star power to draw in the rest of the fan base. The WNBA has done the exact opposite, and it's now starting to show up. They are succeeding in killing Caitlin Clark because they don't care. The momentum that this league had is about to be destroyed because, one, they won't promote Caitlin Clark. They've constructed a team in Indiana that won't highlight or showcase Caitlin Clark. And now the players, some of them are going to be getting paid 6- and 7-figure salary, high 6-figure, low 7-figure salaries. And you're going to be treated to one of the biggest stars in the WNBA, Angel Reese, who is as unskilled a basketball player as I've ever seen. Yes, she can rebound. Yes, she can, but she is completely unskilled. No one wants to see this. No one wants to pay for this. These basketball players that play like Angel Reese are getting paid 7 figures. It won't work.
The momentum? 100%. They don't care. And also, 100%, again, basic marketing. What's happening around the WNBA right now, the more obvious it becomes that this league is fumbling one of the biggest opportunities in sports history. And I'm sorry, but the momentum is absolutely slipping. Not because Caitlin Clark isn't popular anymore, not because people suddenly stopped caring about women's basketball. No, the issue is much simpler than that. The people running this league seem completely disconnected from why fans showed up in the first place. And it comes down to the most basic rule in sports marketing. Stars matter. Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA exploded the way it did. She's the reason ratings jumped. She's the reason ticket prices went insane. She's the reason arenas started selling out. She's the reason these players are suddenly getting treated like celebrities. And yes, whether people like hearing it or not, she's also the reason salaries are rising the way they are. Because money doesn't magically appear out of nowhere. People tune in because of stars. Casual fans tune in because of stars. Hardcore fans will always be there, no matter what. But if you want a league to become massive, if you want to reach NFL-level popularity or NBA-level relevance, you need casual sports fans invested emotionally in your product. And casual fans don't tune in for the purity of the game. They tune in for entertainment. They tune in for personalities. They tune in for stars that make them feel like they're watching something special. The National Football League understands this. The National Basketball Association understands this. Every major sports league understands this. They push Patrick Mahomes everywhere. They push LeBron James everywhere. They push Tom Brady for 20 years. They understand that when you have a transcendent figure, you lean into them as hard as possible. But somehow, the WNBA seems determined to do the exact opposite with Caitlin Clark. It almost feels like they want fans to pretend she's not the main attraction. Instead of building the league around the biggest sports phenomenon we've had in decades, they're trying to force this everybody's equal approach, where Caitlin Clark is treated like just another player. And fans can feel that. You cannot spend 2 years watching Caitlin Clark dominate headlines, break records, transform ratings, and completely change the visibility of women's basketball, only to suddenly tell fans, actually, don't focus on her too much. That's not how this works. And what makes it worse is the way Indiana Fever is playing at times. Because when people bought into Caitlin Clark, they bought into the superstar version. They bought into the logo threes, the transition offense, the insane passing, the swagger, the confidence, the non-stop aggression. Nobody signed up to watch Caitlin Clark stand in the corner while the offense slows down. Nobody is paying premium prices to watch her become an off-ball player inside Stephanie White's system while other players dominate possessions. That's where the frustration is coming from. And meanwhile, the league keeps trying to elevate other stars, but fans are not reacting the same way. Take Angel Reese, for example. Yes, she rebounds at a high level. Nobody is denying that. But when people talk about overall offensive skill and polished basketball ability, fans are clearly divided. And that's part of the problem right now. The league is trying to convince casual viewers that every player carries the same level of draw or excitement as Caitlin Clark, and the numbers just don't support that reality. You can market rivalries, you can market personalities, but you cannot force fans to emotionally connect with players they simply don't find entertaining to watch. And now we're starting to see signs that the overall hype might actually be cooling off a little bit. Look at the ticket situation. Last season, Fever tickets vanished almost instantly. The home opener sold out weeks in advance. There was a frenzy around everything involving Caitlin Clark. Fans were scrambling just to get inside the building. This year, it feels different. You can still find large blocks of seats available. Upper sections still have inventory. Lower sections still have inventory. Even some premium seats are sitting there untouched. Courtside tickets are still available in certain spots, and those are usually the first things to disappear when demand is truly insane. That matters, because the intensity of demand is different now. Last season felt like a cultural event. This season feels more cautious. Fans seem to be taking a wait-and-see approach before fully buying back in. And think about this for a second. The Fever home opener includes massive names: Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Azzi Fudd. That is an unbelievable collection of star power and recent #1 picks. On paper, that should be one of the easiest sellouts imaginable. Yet, tickets are still floating around days before the game. Now, eventually, maybe it sells out. Maybe corporations buy blocks of seats. That happens in sports all the time. Companies buy inventory for promotions, giveaways, partnerships, whatever the case may be. But the point is this. Last year, you didn't need any help selling Caitlin Clark games. The demand handled itself. And I think that's why so many people are nervous right now. Because if the WNBA keeps drifting away from the version of Caitlin Clark that made the league explode in the first place, the casual audience might slowly drift away too. That's the danger. The league had lightning in a bottle, and instead of fully embracing it, they seem determined to spread the spotlight around equally and pretend the engine driving everything isn't obvious. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think the Caitlin Clark momentum is slowing down, or do you think this is just a temporary dip before another explosion in popularity? Appreciate you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the deal. And I'll talk to you later.